Getting everybody ready here. Put Andrew Deutsch on the stage. All right, let's get ourselves going live on LinkedIn here. We're going to go live on LinkedIn and get ready to go. All right, everyone. Welcome once again to the Exit Your Way Roundtable. I'm here today. I'm one of the co-hosts, Damon Pistolka, with my partner in crime over there, Andrew Cross. And we got our guest speaker today, Andrew Deutsch, is flipping his camera on and off. I don't know if he's trying to.
He's out.
He's giving us video blurring or something. But so if you're on LinkedIn, first of all, if you're on LinkedIn, you having trouble, Andrew? Is it working?
I think I got kicked out twice.
Okay.
I think the people at Remo are sick of me.
All right. Well, if you're on LinkedIn, go ahead and tell us where you're listening from. We're monitoring the comments there as well. Hopefully, if you've got any questions as well for Andrew while we're going along, that'll be great to get those from you, and we can get things rolling here.
We got some new people, so
you got some new people in the group. Look, as usual, you said here, it's funny because everybody that we have that comes to this, they know the time that if we say we're going to start at 8:05, they're in here like 8:06 or 8:07, and we start out with like 3 people, and then it just clink, 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 clink comes up, and we get a lot of participants. So it's funny, but it's good. It's good. We're here today. We're very excited because we have Andrew Deutsch speaking about building voracious advocates for your brand, man. And I am so excited. I was on something with Andrew yesterday and I couldn't contain myself because I when I talk to Andrew, I get excited because the dude just knows. It just kind of comes out of him. Like you see people that you talk to and it just comes out of them. And it's just a pleasure to be able to have him talk about that today and learn from him, because when you talk about building that voracious advocate for your brand, the person that's so happy with your service or the products that you gave them that they just want to tell people how good you are, or even if they didn't buy from you, they think you're cool for some other reason and want to tell people about it. Those voracious advocates can help you a lot. So super excited about that. And I'm also excited because we are going to be making some format changes to the Exit Your Way Roundtable. We might be changing the name. We might be I don't know what we're going to do yet, but we've got another planning meeting next week. We are taking a week off next week. Then the week after, we'll have our June networking event. Then we have the holiday for 4th of July. And we're going to be back in earnest the 8th of July or whatever that is, that first. I might probably have the date wrong, but that first week in July after the 4th of July. So we all have our 4th of July holiday in us, and then we're going to come back with a vengeance. But I'm excited about this. I really am. I think we're going to, I know the people that we've got working together, we're going to have some fun. We're going to have good information for business executives and owners and advisors that'll help us all. So I'm really excited about that. So I got to tell you, you know what I forgot today? I forgot the question of the day today. So we are not going to have a question of the day today, but let's let everybody come up and do a quick intro, because we have shortened the format a little bit today. We're going to do it quick, do a quick intro, say hi to everybody, and then we'll roll on. So Jacob Warren, good to see you this morning, sir.
So I think the question we can bring along as we go along talking about your advocates, I'd like to know, everybody in here probably has one. Who's your best advocate? Maybe they could ask them the question, who that is and how they're doing it for you. So I'd like to hear, what they look like for you.
That's a good one. There's actually one that comes to mind. So first off, thank you for bringing me up. This is the first time I think I've been up first.
Yeah, there you go.
Hey, so my name is Jacob Warren, and my company is Warren Research. We essentially make technology simple for you while helping you focus on your business and running it the way you should. So there's as short as sweet as I can put with as much meat as possible.
Very good.
And and I get the crime for the rhyme today. Oh, dear gracious. It's one of those mornings. Biggest advocate, I think, for there's a particular client that comes to mind, and what they do is actually they provide as much input as possible that's healthy. And what I mean by that is there's a particular client of mine that actually they are in the insurance business, and so they deal with a lot of different portals and things like that they work with, and they actually provide a lot of input of, hey, this is how it makes it easier for our end users to work within engaging with myself. And so they provide that two-way streak rather than just a complaint. It's, hey, this is what you can do better.
Awesome, man. Great to see you today.
Woohoo!
We will talk to you tomorrow.
All right, sounds good.
All right. Jill, wonderful seeing you today. How are
Great
things?
to be here.
All right. So do your introduction and let's see who your best advocate is.
Yeah, so I have the privilege of working with small businesses, and I work with them to develop their staff from average to amazing. And the joy that brings is bringing more certainty about the future for those small business owners and those small business leaders. And I get to do it without service disruption. So they can work with me and not have to worry about putting things on pause while we're getting things in place. My biggest advocate, I don't know that I have one in particular. I've been so fortunate to meet amazing people, and just at different phases in my life and in different phases of business, they'll just drop the right connection. So, there's times where you, Damon, have been a great advocate. There's other people here in this group that have been wonderful advocates. So that's kind of a hard question for me to answer, because I have a lot of people who are like, who just, I know that, that when they meet people that would benefit from talking with me, that they say, hey, you should talk to Jill.
Yeah. Awesome. That's just great to hear, and great to see you today, Jill.
Good to see you too.
All right. Andrew's having technical difficulties. All right. Not working?
Here we go.
There we go.
Morning, everybody. Good to be back.
Dan, how are you, Dan?
Been busy. A lot of things going on business-wise and personal-wise, but I'm starting to straighten them all out.
Good. Glad to hear it.
Yeah. So
when it's busy on both sides, it's crazy. That's for sure.
yeah, the pandemic finally opening up has changed my life again.
Yeah. Well, I suppose because you can go to sports with your kids and all that kind of stuff now.
Yeah. Last week I had five softball games and 3 baseball games and volleyball practice all the same week.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah. And a volleyball tournament too.
Yeah. I saw the video from a volleyball tournament a while back. That's cool. You can go. Yeah.
So I'm Dan Bigger. I'm the director of sales and marketing at Chenango Valley Technologies in Sherburne, New York. We're a custom injection molding and tooling company. I can't say I have a biggest advocate. I'd say some of the groups that I work in are my biggest advocate. So I'm one of the creators of USA Manufacturing Hour, and that group has been phenomenal, just like this group has been for me. We all help each other out in that group, and it's wonderful to see.
Yeah, that's awesome, man. And that group, if you haven't been on one of the USA Manufacturing Hour Twitter chats on Thursday at, what is it? Thursday at 1?
2 o'clock Eastern.
2 o'clock Eastern. Okay. I always get mixed up. I've got a standing meeting that's at that time, so I can't get it much, but yeah, get on there. There's a lot of good people in there, and really you can interact with a bunch of just excellent people. So USA Manufacturing Hour, 2 o'clock Eastern every Thursday, a little bit later today. So awesome. Mark, awesome to see you, my friend.
Great to see you, Damon. How are you?
I'm great. So tell us a little bit about yourself and your best advocate.
Sure. I jumped on late this morning, so I'm still thinking about my best advocate. I am a fractional COO, and I work with visionary CEOs who need help clarifying a lot of things typically, but usually targets, goals, strategy. So helping them develop a strategy, sales and marketing, and an execution plan for building out their operations for scaling for profitable, sustainable, and profitable growth. So that's what I do. And my biggest advocate, so this is somebody who champions me. Aside from my wife, I would say, that's more personal, I'd say. I have my very best friend from childhood sings my praises. And sometimes I feel I don't deserve the level of praise that he gives me. But he's known me all my life, and he knows me in ways that others don't. So I think he's been a really great champion for me. I don't know that, I mean, it's not like led to lots of work, if that's what you mean, but it's always a great confidence boost and great encouragement to talk to him. And I think he's seen me in enough situations to know me really well. So, and this is somebody I've known since I was 4 years old, and he only lives 3 miles away by coincidence. So that's pretty cool to have that connection all this time.
That's pretty crazy that that is pretty crazy. Cool.
That's
cool.
I consider myself very fortunate.
Yeah, no doubt. That's great. Wonderful seeing you today, Mark.
Yeah, it's great seeing you always. Thanks.
All right. Dennis Bolger, how are you today, sir?
Howdy do. I'm doing good. At least I think mic's on.
Yeah, mic's on. You didn't wash away in the rains we had the last few days. We had a couple downpours there that were pretty crazy. Yeah,
it was pouring this last weekend, and I was actually out working in it, so that makes it fun.
Yeah.
The kids still want their play yard, so I still got to work in it, right?
Yeah. Yep.
So anyway, I'm Dennis Bolger, and we are insurance agents, and we transfer risk from individuals and corporations to companies that want to support that particular type of risk. And we do that through working with advocates that enjoy what we do and sing our praises to other people. So to me, our best advocate is the person that has either tried us, wants to try us, has wanted to try, and is looking to want to make a change, and we're here to help with those processes. But my best advocate moved away and moved to Las Vegas in the 80s. We totally lost track of each other, and became back acquainted again last week. And so we've been away from each other for all that time, and he sings the praises now and is telling everybody that he knows that even his son that I have never met says, "Hey, I want to get a hold of Dennis so I can learn more about what he does." So it's kind of an exciting time for that, and I'm getting ready to leave tomorrow for another week. So
good stuff, Dennis. Great seeing you today.
Great to be seen.
Thanks a lot. Majid, great to see you today.
Good to see you, brother.
How are you?
Thanks for having me on again. You guys are amazing. I love the camaraderie amongst this group, and I see you guys chatting outside of this group too, so it's kind of cool to see that. For those, I think I've met mostly everybody on here. I had some great conversations with Grant and Jill and a couple other people from this group. So just good people all around, man. I'm excited to be part of it. But for those who don't know me, we are in the IoT space. We basically take buildings, make them smarter to where they can start communicating back with you and telling you about your problems before they show up. Most of you guys might have like a wife. It's kind of like having a wife, but one that actually will give you guys some actual information and data to be able to make decisions with. And my wife does that too. She gives me a lot of data. Say, hey, look at those clothes, pick them up, right?
Yeah.
But guys, what I'm really for when it comes to the advocate side, advocacy, I believe, is a big part of any organization. It's one that we focus on a lot with ours. And we have created quite a few advocates alongside with us, people who could basically white label us and utilize what we've done in place to give them a leg up to get into organizations that they normally and typically can't. So I think, advocacy is like a two-way streak. You provide value and people provide value back. So we're grateful to have I think 70% of our business today comes from our advocates, which is, a pretty striking number. So
Yeah.
We're grateful to have the people that we do in our stable, and look forward to continue to develop relationships that could provide that advocacy or referral partners, as some people call them.
Very cool. Very cool, Majid. Great to have you here today. And if you haven't seen what they do with buildings, it's really cool, man. It's really cool. We had them on a couple 3 weeks ago. It's on our website now. It's on our YouTube channel, IoT, and man, it's something. It's really cool stuff. Thank you so much.
Appreciate it.
Grant, great to see you again, sir.
Thank you. I count myself among great folks. So thank you for having me and doing what you guys do.
Well, we're just glad to be able to do it, man. We have fun.
I guess allow me to start with the ideal customer, and that is with someone that has the bandwidth and an opinion about what they're doing to their own health. We're about healthy aging, and one of the main points I would make is that toxic loading that comes from a lot of the products that when you impulse buy your skincare at the drugstore, you're not doing yourselves any favor. So that's why I say our ideal customer is somebody that has the bandwidth to look a little bit ahead and create their own purchase consciously and take care of themselves and the people around them.
Yes. That's a great great thing, because we don't pay enough attention to that. Yeah. So who is your best advocate then, Grant?
Well, the best advocate would be the wife, because she's got the opinions. I mean, I'm just learning about this. I'm a guy. I played tennis for years and got beat up by the sun and didn't realize how much damage that is. And now I know to cover up and take good things for my skin. Yeah.
Awesome. Good stuff. Well, thanks for being here, Grant. Wonderful seeing you again. All right. So we've got Matt Goosey here with us today. First time guest. And he's a closet Seahawks fan, but he's wearing the Green Bay Packers stuff today.
No, that stands for the good team there, Damon.
I understand that, but honestly, I was reading the Aaron Rodgers stuff last night, and I was like, "Oh, what's going to happen there? You guys might have a little controversy going on."
No, he's an old man like me. We need somebody new in there, so we're going to get Love in there. He's going to.
Okay. Good stuff. Well, tell us a little bit about yourself and your business there, Matt.
Yeah, well, I'm Matt Goosey, of course, and me and my wife own MRS Machining, and we're a contract manufacturer of metal components. We don't fabricate, we defab. We take metal away off of like bar stock and exotic materials. We've been around for 35 years. And we have a great culture, and we make some really cool stuff.
Yeah. And the one thing that Matt, I really like how you work with the high schools locally to help kids find a career in manufacturing and help them, just help them do that, because there's so many kids that don't understand that. And it serves a dual purpose with your business, because it's hard to find good manufacturing talent, and you're helping people at the same time.
Yeah, and also keeps me young.
Yeah.
Keep up with young kids, but
yeah, good stuff. Thanks so much for being here, Matt. Yep. Hope you enjoy listening to Andrew here in just a moment.
Oh, I will.
All right. Go Packers.
Out. Yeah, I almost got him out in time.
Let's see. He had the Wisconsin shirt on too. So that's Russell Wilson's school, right?
Yeah.
So he's still giving us the love indirectly. But, all right. Was that everybody, Andrew?
Well, Brady, James Cassidy, they've been asked, but I don't know if they.
Okay. All right. Well, we're good then. If they're not ready to come up, that's cool. So,
that's all right.
So go ahead and you go, then I'll go, then our speaker will go, and he will begin.
Okay. You're talking about Andrew, right?
No, I'm talking about you, Andrew Cross.
So I'm Andrew Cross, Exit Your Way, co-founder of Exit Your Way, with my advocate here, I think, is my most favorite advocate, which is my partner, Damon. So, and that's why I wanted to ask that question. So it's been a great relationship over the years, I can't wait to hear what Andrew's got to say and talk about your advocates and how they work with your life and your business and that kind of stuff too. So I think this is a great topic.
Yeah. Yeah. Good. Damon Paslaka, people know me. I just wanted to say thanks. And yes, we got an advocate here, got an advocate there, got other advocates in the crowd. Thank you so much. Love being able to get to know people better and help them how we can. And really love helping business owners. We've got some business owners that have been really good advocates for us that we've helped in the past and referred us on and things like that. And we're just blessed to have that history and that experience. Someone else said something about people from a long time ago. I'm really lucky. I've actually got a friend of mine that only lives, like Mark was talking about, a few miles away from me, that I literally met him when I was like 18 years old, and we've been able to work together and other stuff. And it's pretty special when you have people around you like that. So that's good stuff. Now, I just want to say real quick, thanks, Matthew, Bonnie, and Christina for your comments and watching us on LinkedIn, and the others that are watching us that haven't commented. Thank you so much there. Now we're going to get to the main event, to the person that's going to enlighten us today, to show us how to build voracious advocates for our brand. I'm about ready to pass out because my head is going to explode from the knowledge that we're going to get thrown in front of us here by Andrew Deutsch. Thank you so much, sir. Tell us a little bit about your company and how you're helping people, and then we'll get into it.
I'm confused, Damon. You promised me I'd just be answering yes and no questions. I have to actually.
Yes, I did.
Just the fact.
Just the fact. So, it's funny. For years, we've at Fangled have been talking about converting every touch into voracious advocates for your brand. And every once in a while, someone says, well, that's a mouthful. What the hell does it mean? So Damon asked me to talk about it. So I want to actually sort of present a little bit and describe what that means. I don't know why it's not coming up. Hold on. Something's wrong with my background. Give me 1 sec. I'm gonna I'm gonna fix this.
So we've got Christina Harrington on LinkedIn from Gen Alpha. She likes the hat, Matt. She likes the hat. And that's so we've got another Wisconsinite, I believe, in the crowd. There we go.
Yep. So we'll do it this way. There's always a backup.
There's always a backup.
We talk about, converting every touch, and there's the words that are in this phrase are actually chosen for a specific reason, because the reality is most people don't understand how powerful the market is. We know when we look at consumer brands, all of these are recognizable. I picked these because they don't have names. And besides, I don't know, maybe the target behind me that you can't really see, but Ferrari, Windows, Gucci's, these are consumer brands that have advocates. So many people, so many times today, someone will say to you, not I'm going to get a cup of coffee, I'm going to go grab a Starbucks. These are brands that people understand about advocacy, but most of the work that we do is in the B2B space. And you typically don't think about brands that people advocate for. Now, this is one that I always use as an example. Years ago, when I was in the packaging world exclusively, people would say, it's a businesses, people like, they dislike, and otherwise. 3M had an interesting history in terms of advocacy. Here's something I would hear all the time. Nobody ever got fired for buying 3M. You could show up with a product that competed with 3M. It had laboratory testing proven that it was just as good, better pricing, better conditions to buy, longer terms, and the buyer would say, hey, nobody ever got fired for buying 3M. That is a company that's developed advocacy within its buyers. So we're going to talk a little bit about the total phrase. How do you convert every touch? And we specifically say every touch, not every customer, not every client, every touch. In other words, when you're really looking at the process of advocacy, if the only people that are your advocates are your customers, you're missing out. Think about the popular music world, the Britney Swifts and the Taylor Spears. I like to play with their names because I've got no interest in their music. But if I did that on a public forum with their fans, I would already have 100 people trolling me on my social media. Why? Because they've got these voracious advocates. Anything you say negative about those two, they're coming at you. Well, in the business world, when you look at who's referred people to your business, is it only people that you've done business with? Because if so, you're not converting every touch. You're converting every customer. If you look, our business, about 80% of the business we do today is referrals from past accomplishments that we've done, or people who have encountered us and said, you know what, I met those guys from Fangled. They're the right fit for you. So, well, have you ever done business with them? No, never did business with them, but we've been following them. We love what they do. We've heard Andrew speak. There's folks in the audience today that are actually part of my team that are checking us out. They've seen the work of Burns and said, oh my God, I've never used him, but if he's got that guy on the team, you've got to do business with him. It's every touch. Anyone that we encounter could be an advocate for our brand. How many people, go back to the consumer brands, how many people who are advocates for Ferrari actually own one? The reason people buy them is because there's so many advocates out there. You buy a Ferrari because it gives you image, it gives you that feeling. People look at you. Cute people of the opposite or same gender, depending who you are going to try to pick you up at the gas station. That's why they buy it. Why they do it? Because of all of those touches that touch the Ferrari brand that have become advocates for it. The second part, what is a voracious advocate? The word voracious, I like this girl eating the hamburger.
Yeah.
They can't get enough. It's not just that they like your brand. They're not just fans. They can't get enough of you. When somebody thinks of you in that frame, they're ready to go and with the megaphones shout from the hilltops that they are, in fact, voracious advocates. You put out something new, the podcast comes out, it's the first one they listen to. A new product launch for your company, you've got this new thing that's happening. What happens at Apple when people haven't even touched the product, don't even know if it works, and they line up around the block to buy it? Those are voracious advocates. Tell a guy who uses Apple that PC is better, and watch the responses.
That's a good one.
Yeah, I mean there's so many examples of voracious advocates. There's a musician that I'm a huge fan of, Stephen Wilson. He was the leader of a band called Porcupine Tree. He just put out an album that was just electronic music, and his fans went nuts. His normal advocates were, oh my God, he's gone off the deep end. He betrayed his advocates in a way that created more buzz for an album than he's ever put out and sold more and got more downloads in the first month because of how he manipulated and used his advocates, who are now even more voracious because he's saying, now I'm going to do another album like what I used to do. So there's lots of ways to convert into voracious advocates, not just people who kind of like what you do. And the last part is for your brand. You want them not to be an advocate necessarily of you, but what your total company entails. Who are you? What are they saying about when you're not in the room? What are the consumers? What are the advocates? Are they still thrilled when they're not talking to you directly? How many times has someone said to you, man, I really love what you do, and then they never do the business because they're too embarrassed to tell you that they're really not that brand. So what we talk about, first of all, where do you start in converting every touch into voracious advocates? I'm going to move out of the way here. So The first one, every employee in your building, whether they're on the official marketing team, they're engineers, they're designers, they're sweeping floors, they're cutting the grass, all of those people are part of your marketing team. Guess what? All of those people are also part of your customer service team.
Yeah.
Every employee should be engaged and feel that they are part of the success of the company. The guy who comes in before the building opens and cleans the place to make it look perfect should recognize that when visitors come into that company, one of the reasons they want to do business is because he's done such a great job as part of the team to make that building shine. Everyone involved, including outside contractors. I've seen businesses that have contracts that include clauses that if you're going to come and do service on our property, you must follow these rules, dress this way, behave this way, because we consider you part of our brand advocacy team when you're here on our grounds. So that's one of the places to begin. The second part, that customer experience, everything that customer experiences is key to creating those advocates. Thrilled customers will shout your praises to other people, whereas disappointed customers shout it to the world. So when you've got, for example, a perfect example years ago, I lost customers in a business that we were doing incredible business with. Why? Because when they were 5 days late in paying their bills, a shrew from accounting would call them and bitch them out. And I'm using the word bitch because it was mean. And I would get a call from a customer who would say, I love doing business with you guys, but after that, I'm done. It's the crush of the voracious advocate. It's when somebody calls customer service and the person says, this isn't my job. It's when they call, and anything that happens within the organization that ruffles feathers in the wrong way, even when the customer's wrong, there's ways of continuing their advocacy with your business. So customer experience, every touch, every time that they have contact with you in your daily business, in your social media, in your advertising, in your public persona. A perfect example, and nothing political. How many people do you think stop buying pillows from the MyPillow guy based on his public persona? Whether you agree with him or disagree with him, it won't be long, I think, before his board tells him, you know what, you're no longer in charge of your company. He doesn't understand that everything he does has a play with the customer experience of the people in his industry. So when you're thinking anything that you're doing in your company, it's the brand advocate sniff test. Does the decision, the action, promote advocacy for your brand? Or is it the wrong decision? And obviously there are times that you've got to make decisions that are difficult and may not be so favorable, but how do you frame them? How do you bring them to market in a way to promote that advocacy? Because it's very easy to make one wrong decision that gets conflated and turns into an exodus. By the way, brand advocates within your organization, they stay and they work for you much longer. Yeah. If you teach brand advocacy as a brand ambassador from the day, not the day that you bring someone in and recruit them and get them in training, but even in the interview process, the importance that every employee is an advocate for the brand. What does that do for that person as they're going through the process of becoming an employee? On day one, they show up for orientation, not thinking, oh my God, I got to sit through orientation. It's wow, there's something real positive for me there. So really, is it time for you to activate a horde of brand advocates in your company? I say it's always time to activate, enhance, because they love to shout the praises to the world. And it's time to put them to work for you, which is, of course, the next sort of phase. Having all those brand advocates is great. How do you get them to promote and get that excited about what you do? And I've seen brand advocates in the most boring of industrial spaces, companies that make mechanical fasteners, companies that make glues and adhesives. Think about 3M. Nothing they make is exciting. No. But they figured out that when people do business with them, life is easy. They retain their customers. The customers never get left in a lurch, and you never get fired for buying their brand. And I've competed against them multiple times in different segments over the years, And in 5 languages I've heard, nobody ever got fired by doing business with 3M. So think about that for your business. So that's really the basis of brand advocacy. And I'm going to go back to regular screen, I think. There we go.
All right.
That's sort of the base presentation, and I'm hoping it can kind of turn into a conversation going forward. I really wasn't looking at the chat.
Awesome. Well, the chat's been running around here a little bit on this and that, but if you've got questions, I would like to see if people have questions on brand advocacy and some of the decision points that you can do. Go ahead and raise your hand or come so we can bring you up. We can talk with Andrew about it directly. The other thing that I got a couple questions too here, Andrew, directly on some of this stuff about building the voracious advocates for your brand. I think you covered 2 things. One is the employee part of that process, or your contractors, everything else in that process. I think that's missed by a lot of companies. When you're talking to people, do they even realize how important that is when you first begin talking to them about it, or is it left behind in most?
I would classify it in the blind spot category.
Okay.
And when you start talking about it, there the old light bulb comes on, and they go, "Wow, I hadn't really I knew it, but I hadn't put it in place." And it's a great way. I'll give you an example of one of the things in lean manufacturing processes. There's a great opportunity there to create that brand advocacy. So you're going to have the people sit around the table to resolve a challenge. In most businesses, let's say we've got a piece of equipment in the factory that isn't necessary. It's creating a bottleneck. So in a typical business, what happens? The engineer, the process guys, the operations guys come around the table and they figure it out. You want to build brand advocates? Bring someone from the janitorial service, someone from accounting, bring someone from outside the business who's a vendor, whose opinion you want, and include them in that decision process and include them in the study. It seems like a weird thing to do. Well, what you're really doing is you're telling the organization, we don't think that we're the smartest, the most brilliant, and you have ideas that fit. And as you bring those people around the table, they become far more involved and understand and even gain a feeling for what goes on out in the plant that they never see from their desk.
Yeah, that's a great example, because those diverse opinions that you get from those people are invaluable in that, because just like, you hear the stories about all these great scientists trying to figure out something, and a little kid coming up and going boop, and it just fixes whatever it was because it's a different perspective.
Yep. I was in one of those meetings once, and they were trying to figure out, and there was this huge entry thing into a piece of equipment that blocked the view for people to see. And they brought one of the line workers in, and they were talking about how to get rid of the bottleneck in the area. And the line worker said, "Well, before we even get started, why do we have that hood?" And one of the other guys who'd been in the plant for 20 years said, "Well, that used to be part of the exhaust system. We just never took it off." The entire problem came up because this guy. And then at the next staff meeting, they said, so-and-so from the plant changed the world with a simple comment. What other ideas do you guys have? And the bottleneck was gone. The ability to maintain the equipment changed. And it was one guy who nobody ever asked his opinion.
Yeah, that's awesome. That's awesome. And I'm not taking any credit for understanding that including people is better, but we used to have accounting people and everything else work in our Kaizens, because it was so helpful when you did that.
Yep. Yeah, I'd also like to point out what it does, when you have those advocates there, what it does when you're selling your business. You have outsiders coming in. It's an incredible boost to your value. Nobody can sell the business better than your people.
Yep. And bringing in a vendor who sells you things to be part of the Kaizen turns your vendor into an advocate for your brand, because you've proven that you not only see them as the guy who sells you stuff, but as an integral part of the growth of your business, and that his ideas matter.
That's a great point. I've done that before in like Matt's business, where we've got a machine tool or machining, and the cutter suppliers, because it's really competitive. How fast you remove metal is paramount to how much money you make, right? So we would do a lot of testing when we were doing expensive titanium stuff, and having them in there did help a tremendous amount on the outside, because our customers knew that we were actively trying to get better at that. Made a big deal.
And another example of it, if you're selling through a dealer network, you're selling through distributors or otherwise, involving them in the decision making of the business is a huge way. Because if your distributor's not an advocate, you're not the top of mind when they're out talking about all the alternatives in their line card or their book. And we've seen it again and again. We're looking to update this product. You guys are the dealers. You talk to the customers every day. This is what we're thinking. Please give us feedback. Yeah. And even if you don't want the feedback, ask for it anyhow, because they're going to come up with something that you didn't want that's actually going to make your product better.
Yeah. Yeah. Good stuff. Well, Mark, you raised your hand. I'm sorry to not get you going right away here, but what you got for us?
Yeah, no problem. I'm just excited about the topic, and just kind of wanted to engage more specific questions to start off. Andrew, is just like what are some ways that you have activated your employees or your clients' employees for the brand, and then beyond that, I think is their customers or your customers. How do you activate them? Because that's that passion, I think, that you're talking about. The Voracious thing suggests a passion, even whether it's negative, positive or negative. So how do you get that going?
Yeah, there's a lot of different examples. I'll give you one in my recent work in the trailer industry. The company that I was working with, they made commercial trailers, and they also made a product called, which is for people that like to go out with their side-by-side motorcycles. So it's like a camping trailer that has a garage in the back. Okay, so they found that there were people who created a lifestyle around it, and because they did that, the goal was to enable those people to create their own fan groups and run events and do things so that they could get other people who love the brand together. And then from that event, you would create social media content and show people not the box that has a bed in it, but the place where families live and have fun together as an organization out using it. So you created a whole human aspect to something that in the past, it was a photograph of a still trailer. It was a photograph of here's the refrigerator. It was a walkthrough of a salesman going, here's this, here's that. Now it was a human living fun. You were selling fun. You weren't selling trailers because of those advocates.
So experiential.
And they created their own T-shirts. They would have events. They would their own websites. There were YouTube videos every week of people demoing and sharing their vacations, talking about the brand. That's the kind of thing you can do in the consumer space. In the industrial space, the best example was the 3M. But we did a project when we were competing with them in South America, when my office was in Brazil, in the box tape industry. So what we did, every time we visited a buyer, we showed them, without going into too much detail, how much they were being overcharged by 3M. The deal was if you had box sealing equipment, 3M would give you the machine for free, but you had to buy the tape from them at X amount per roll. Well, the price for the tape was about 3 times higher than what retail should have been.
It's like printer cartridges.
Yeah. So we went to all of these guys and we created a spreadsheet that showed them how much they were overcharged had they bought the machine from us and the tape from us. And then each of those buyers was able to go to the CEO and the CFO of the company and say, we're switching to this new supplier, and this is how much money they're saving. Well, what did we do? We created heroes within the organization. We had a guy that was going to save the company $300,000 a year on tape. $300,000 a year on tape.
On tape.
We turned him into a hero in the organization and an advocate for us. That one guy from that particular company called 6 other buyers that he knew and said, you need to talk to these guys. I just got a raise.
Yeah.
That's
huge.
That's a brand advocate of the first order. And not to mention when the 3M salesman came back in and they said, no, we'll buy from you again, but here's what you overcharged me, $480,000 over the last 4 years. Pay me this back and we'll buy from you again.
Yeah.
That is a great example. That is a great example for sure.
It got me my first death threat in business, so that was good. The guy from 3M threatened to kill me. That's when you know you've arrived.
Did they go back to 3M?
Good death threat's always good in South America. It tells you you're doing your job.
Yeah.
Did they stay with you? That's an interesting.
The business continued to grow. It turned into a whole. It's too long of a story for this.
Yeah.
But that company went from selling the equivalent of maybe a truckload of tape every 2 months to a truckload every 3 days.
Right.
They were bringing in jumbo rolls, slitting. They set up a whole conversion facility.
Yeah.
And to this day, they're thriving and outperforming some of the competitors. Yeah.
It's also interesting to think about like what makes 3M people such strong advocates. There's this one book. Have you guys read Simply Better? Have you ever heard of that book? Let me just talk about. It's really great. I won't get into much detail about it, but this idea of just delivering a package of category benefits that's just simply better than anybody else in the industry, and so you got to think that that's what they've been doing. And, kudos to you for being able to prove that, look, man, this is a commodity product and we can deliver it at, much lower price and still give you the great service and everything like that. But what is it about 3M that generates such advocacy?
They're the originators. They've been in the market forever and they're extremely consistent. Yeah. I would never eat at McDonald's. It's just not my thing. But people who eat at McDonald's everywhere in the world because they know they're going to get the same thing every time.
Right.
And if you're a buyer, end of line packaging tends to be the last thing that you think of. The tape, the box, so to know that that's handled so that you can deal with the more complex issues that you're dealing with. 3M is one of the best at being able to do that. And their products are consistently good. I'm not aware of things in the industrial space that they make that they can't be proud of.
So why risk the change?
Yeah,
the peace of mind and inertia that comes with it.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Yep. And it's funny because 3M is just one of those companies when you talk about brand identity. I mean, they're in so many different places because they're R&D and they're continually developing new products like crazy. I mean, for a year, I know Dan said something about he's going to be working with 3M as a client. I used to have them as a client in their medical divisions in the molding companies where I worked with them. And that was some of the first, design through application of medical products I ever did. And those guys, those people there are brilliant at that, at coming out with those kind of products you're saying and everyone, I think that in those industries where they play, know they're a little bit more premium, but it's like you said, it says 3M on it. I can go home and know it's going to work right. I'm going to pay a little bit more maybe, but it's going to be fine.
Additional proof of it. If you buy, junky imported stuff from China, that, just little accessories and things that have to have attachment, they always put the 3M liner in the photo so you can see that the adhesive on it's 3M because it may not work, but it's going to stick.
Yeah.
There's a lot to it. And when I worked for Avery Dennison in the performance tapes division, which is not box tape, it's a whole other. I mean, these are the tapes that like hold things to landing gear or hold windows and high rises in place and things like that. With identical products or similar testing, if there wasn't a competitive advantage from the Avery Dennison side in some level, not product, you weren't going to get the business. It's just kind of how, if there wasn't a technical advantage or something else, you had to come up with a value that 3M wasn't providing, whether it was lead time, special delivery system, hooking up with a converter that can do die cuts or something special to it. Otherwise, it just wasn't going to happen because of that risk adverse company. I'm not going to risk putting something in a product that's going to cause a recall. And the cost to experiment in that one recall is going to kill any savings. So it's not a price market.
Yeah.
Yep.
And, Majid brought up something here about company culture. He said, is it more about creating a company culture within the brand? And I think that's when I'm sitting here thinking about us. And as we summarize this and come into it, it really does start with an identity for that brand and culture and things around it. Because if you're going to go to your employees and your suppliers and your customers that has to be a consistent message. You know, why do we worry about our facilities the way we do? Why do we worry about our vendors the way that we do? Why do we treat our customers the way we do? And that starts, or culture is a big part of that, I believe.
Yeah, well, it starts with the company culture, and in parallel, within a moment of that thought, it's with the customer, and it's with everyone else that your company touches.
Yeah.
There's when so many different industries don't recognize that every person they touch could either buy their product or know someone who might, or someone who could destroy them through whatever. There's a restaurant here in town that's got multiple locations, been around forever, and it's known for being a great value, great food, great service. One day, someone came in and accused one of the serving staff of being a racist, and it was all caught on film, and nothing had actually happened. But I don't know, something bad day, and went out on social media, and within hours, there were thousands of people on social media just attacking the restaurant because of their racist stuff. But as that started to happen and people found out, they're advocates. All of us who've been eating at that restaurant for years and never had a bad, it was totally turned around because they had done such a great job with the community for, I think they've been in business since '83.
Wow.
That the fact that they were being accused of one person having a bad experience, it made it to the news. They caught the person who said it, and it turned out it wasn't true. But it was because they had done such a great job converting everyone in the city, everyone who ever ate there, into an advocate who loved that restaurant. They were saved from being trolled out of business.
Yeah.
You know, this idea of brand identity starting at home. One thing we did, for example, in our call center, we had a bill of rights, we had a customer bill of rights, and we had an employee bill of rights, and they mirrored each other in a lot of ways. And the message that we gave to our CSRs was, look, we're going to treat you honestly, fairly. We're going to involve you in decision making and so forth. And everything that we do for you, we expect you to do for the customers as well. I think it really, in the end, creates a culture that translates to great customer experience. Happy employees make for happy customers, and there's so many components to that. Like getting, paying them well, for example, training them well, having the proper compensation plan and so forth. But I see those things as being like an extension or a continuum. And
There's one more piece of this too. One of the best ways to convert a touch into a voracious advocate for your brand is to refer them to your competitor when you can't help them.
Yep.
It sounds crazy. It sounds counterintuitive. Don't try to invent that you can help somebody you can't.
Yep.
You say, look, that isn't something we do well, but our competitor does. And let me introduce you. And have them go do business somewhere else, because the next time they talk to someone, they're going to go, you know what, these guys, they couldn't help me, but boy, they're honest, they're transparent, they don't try to rip you off. You should do business with them. And I've had clients come to me that came to me because of somebody I turned down in an area that we don't work with. Was so impressed by the fact that I introduced them to somebody who would.
Yeah. That's a great point. And it does show integrity and the fact that you really want to help the people that you can best help too. And it is the people that understand that, because it's a win-win. You trying to help somebody just because you can make money on it at the moment, in the long term, is usually a bad decision. So, yeah.
Another thing we did was like pleasant surprises. That works well. Like where you just like give something to the customer for free, or it's their birthday and you give them a 20% discount. They didn't ask for it. Something like that, creates a lot of loyalty and excitement of, man, like what, who would do that,
Yeah. Yeah. That's good stuff. Good stuff. Well, awesome having you here today, Andrew, Mark, everybody that's participating, all the people that were online listening to us live on LinkedIn. Thank you so much there. I am crazy excited about the upcoming stuff. We won't be here next week on Thursday, but the following week we will be back again on the 24th We're going to do our networking event for the month of June. So bring people that you like to introduce to others, people that you would like to introduce to the group, and yourselves, so we can talk about that. We'll cover a light topic as we're doing that. And then I'm really excited to be back then in July with a vengeance, and lots more good learning for owners, executives, and advisors. So Andrew, if I've not missed anything, take us away, man.
We'll exit our way, right?
Yeah.
Thank you, Andrew. Mark, too, for jumping in, and great conversation.
Thanks.
Yeah, the culture stuff, I just really love that part of it, because I see how much that really affects everything when it comes down to a sale, and businesses and people that pay attention not just to their customers, but to their employees and stakeholders and investors and their suppliers and everybody else that makes this happen. That's cool. That's cool to see that when we get to our part, when we start working with them. So
yeah,
all's good stuff. Yeah, have a nice summer break. Looking forward to seeing you all again after we get back with the new look.
All right. Well, we are going to shut her down on LinkedIn here, and we got just a couple minutes if people need to wrap up some conversations at the tables on Remo. If you're listening to us on LinkedIn, you can always join us on Remo. And on Remo, we got a few minutes before. You can meet with the people a little bit after if you want to talk to somebody specifically. We got all the interpersonal chat that you can be doing here if you're on, and ask your questions of the people here or meet some people. Do that. But thanks once again, everyone. We're dropping off of LinkedIn, going back to the tables for a moment and being there.
See y'all.
Boom.